For a long time, I thought being a good person was one of my greatest qualities. People described me as kind, nice, understanding, and pleasant to be around. However, there was a side of being good that nobody talked about. I said yes when I wanted to say no. I stayed quiet when something bothered me. I gave people second, third, and fourth chances. I tried to understand everyone. I tried not to disappoint anyone. And little by little, I realized something. I thought being good made me a good person. It actually made me disappear. The person I kept disappointing was myself. I thought being good meant sacrificing myself. I thought being good meant always understanding others. I thought being good meant avoiding conflict. But kindness and self-abandonment are not the same thing. Since childhood, I struggled with betrayals, rejection, and the need for validation. I wanted to be chosen. I wanted to fit in somewhere. I chased friendships after they ended. I waited for apologies that never came. I placed other people's needs above my own, and I struggled to say no when I needed it most. After a while, I noticed something strange. I could feel lonely in a crowded room. I could be surrounded by people and still feel completely unseen. Then, after enough disappointments, heartbreaks, ghostings, and unmet expectations, I asked myself one question. Why am I always the one paying the price? That question slowly led me toward self-respect. Because if you don't protect your own needs, values, and boundaries, you eventually become a slave to other people's happiness, validation, and expectations. So how do you stop abandoning yourself while still remaining kind? For me, it started with self-respect. And self-respect showed itself in different forms. Keeping promises to yourself. For years, I imagined a future version of myself. Disciplined, independent, free, confident, a woman I admired. But I wasn't doing anything to become her. Then one birthday, I stopped wishing for things. Instead, I made a promise. I promised myself I would become her. Since then, I've tried to take small actions every day that move me closer to that version of myself. Another form of self-respect is saying no when you mean no. This is something I still struggle with. A few months ago, I betrayed myself because I was afraid of disappointing someone important to me. I knew what I wanted. I knew what felt right, but fear made me hesitate. Fear can make you say yes when every part of you is screaming no. And every time that happens, you lose a little piece of yourself. But when you say no and truly mean it, even if it risks disappointing someone, you gain self-respect. Another form of self-respect is leaving situations that hurt you. Not because you're angry, not because you're cold, because you matter too. One of the most painful lessons I learned came from someone I deeply cared about. For years, I felt safe with that person. Then one day, I realized that my feelings, needs, and concerns were no longer being seen. That experience hurt me deeply, but it also taught me something important. Sometimes loving yourself means stepping back from what continuously hurts you. Not with hatred, not with revenge, but with distance and peace. Self-respect is also knowing when to stop chasing. I once spent a long time trying to understand why a close friend ghosted me. I wanted answers. I wanted closure. I wanted an explanation. None of it came. Eventually, I realized they had already made their choice, and I had to make mine. I couldn't control their decision, but I could choose whether I continued suffering because of it. So I stopped chasing. I accepted what happened. And I moved forward. Finally, self-respect looks like taking responsibility. For a long time, I wanted change without responsibility. I wanted results without consistent action. Nothing happened. The moment I understood my reason, my why, everything changed. I value freedom and independence. And if I want those things, I have to earn them. I have to learn, create, fail, try again, improve, grow. There is no guarantee that it will work. But taking responsibility is still better than standing still, because responsibility is another form of self-respect. You show up, you keep your promises, you do the work, and you prove to yourself that you can trust yourself. Being good was never the problem. Abandoning myself was. Today, I still try to be kind. I still try to understand people. I still try to help when I can. But I no longer believe that kindness requires self-sacrifice. Because the moment you start treating your own needs as important, everything changes. You stop living for validation. You stop living for approval. You stop living according to other people's expectations. And you start living your own life. Maybe that's what self-respect really is. Not becoming selfish, not becoming cold, but finally understanding that you matter too.